I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The city clerk, please take roll.
Karen Adams. Here. Karen Berry. Mike Stites.
Here.
Davis Reinhardt.
Present.
Joseph DeMott.
Yes, good evening.
Joyce J.
Here.
Wanda Sang.
Here.
And Tracy Langworthy.
Here.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of September 12, 2011?
Second.
We have a motion for approval, seconded by Councilmember Stites. Any changes to the minutes? Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-0 with one abstention by Councilmember Berry.
Thank you. We have one proclamation this evening. I'll ask Mrs. Wheatridge, Karen Thaler to please step forward. And we have some folks from Elise Lobel, please step forward, and some folks from Pennington, some students and some parents. So please step forward to the podium up here while Mrs. Wheatridge reads the proclamation. Anybody else from Prospect Valley or any other grade school or middle school in the city?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council, citizens of Wheatridge, good evening. Whereas October is Colorado Pedestrian Month and International Walk to School Month, and October 5th, 2011 is International Walk to School Day. And whereas walking contributes to improved physical and mental health, safer streets, stronger communities, a cleaner natural environment, decreased traffic congestion, and reduced fuel consumption. And whereas acknowledging that local government officials are extremely interested in addressing the childhood obesity epidemic and want to take actions to develop and foster active living opportunities. And whereas the City of Wheatridge City Council has adopted the Wheatridge Bicycle and Pedestrian Master Plan, the Mixed-Use Zone Ordinance, and the Streetscape Design Manual, which will lead to the development of additional pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure, facilities, and compact mixed-use development that enhances a pedestrian environment throughout the city of Wheatridge. And whereas the Institute of Medicine, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and Live Well Wheatridge and Live Well Colorado recommend the most promising strategies to address childhood obesity include encouraging communities to improve their streets, sidewalks, and safety of routes to and from school. And whereas children and parents from schools throughout Colorado and community leaders throughout the world are joining together to celebrate International Walk to School Day. Now therefore be it resolved that the Wheatridge City Council proclaims that Wednesday, October 5th, 2011 is International Walk to School Day and encourage children and their families to walk to and from school, and witness thereof on this 26th day of September, 2011.
Bike and Walk to School Day is very important for many reasons. First reason is because it will help us get more exercise than what we get at our recesses and lunches. Second of all, it is to help with obesity and to help with exercise, and we can just have fun and walk, ride our bikes, ride scooters, or any other transportation instead of cars. Another reason is it will help us with our walking skills and other skills like hand-eye coordination.
Mayor and City Council, thank you so much for the proclamation. And Michelle and Nicole, great job. Thank you for being so articulate on this subject. We're very fortunate to have a very robust collaboration between the health department and the city and the police department and Wheatridge Active Community Environments and city staff, elected officials, and others who are very committed to walking and biking to school and active transportation. And Wheatridge will be among many, many people who are participating in this International Walk to School Day, and it's happening in 40 countries. So again, we applaud you for doing this. I think this is our 4th or 5th annual observance, so thank you so much. And as Nicole said, there are many, many reasons why walking and biking to school are so important, so I'm not going to cover that again because she did a great job. We want to thank Wilmore, Davis, Pennington, and Prospect Valley and Maple Grove for participating, and I want to extend an invitation to all of you. And all of you, if you want to find out more about walking and biking to school, you can contact Molly Hanson, and she'll give you the timetables and what schools and where to meet. And we've had city council persons participate in the past, and we've had a good time. And then there's usually breakfast at the school, so please, if your schedule accommodates it, please join us. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is citizens' right to speak. Citizens' right to speak is reserved for members of the public who wish to speak on any item not on the agenda. Speakers are allowed 3 minutes. Others may donate their time to the speaker at the podium for a total of 9 minutes. When you start speaking at the podium, you'll see a green light when you start speaking, a yellow light when you have 30 seconds left, and a red light when your time is up. So if you're here to speak under public comment, please step forward. Please form a line along the wall, and please spell your last name for the record and your city or your address for public comment. Please step forward and please spell your last name for the record, and please state your city or your address.
You want mine?
Yeah, I need your name.
McIntyre.
Oh, please spell. Go ahead and say it in the mic, sir.
Last name is McIntyre, M-C, capital I-N-T-Y-R-E. First name is James. Live at 3060 Joyce Way in Golden.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm here to speak to the work ethic of a former employee of mine. I'm retired. I was a general dentist in downtown Denver. The person I'm speaking about is Monica Duran. She is a candidate to become a member of the city council here in Wheat Ridge. I retired a number of years ago. During that retirement, I also have become involved with the Applewood Sanitation District. I am the treasurer of the Applewood Sanitation District. As to Monica, she came to work in our office in downtown Denver, general dentistry office, in September of 1989. She worked directly with me in the area where we worked with patients. They're called operatories. The rooms are called operatories. Monica was a chairside assistant there with me for a number of years. When a position became available at the front desk to deal with appointments, managing the practice, really managing the flow of people and so on, Monica took that job. Starting with me in 1989, she was with me when I retired. She stayed with, she stayed with the dentist that bought my practice. She has been there ever since. She has a work ethic that's second to none. She barely ever missed a day of work. She was just a great employee. I can imagine that if she became a member of this city council, she'd be a workhorse. So I'm here just to speak to her qualifications, and they're excellent.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
My name is Dempsey Andrews, spelled A-N-D-R-E-W-S. I live at 2836 Chase Street in southeastern Wheat Ridge. And Mayor and City Council, thank you for allowing me this time to speak. I don't know if I'm here representing several of the neighbors along that stretch of Chase Street. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but we have come in several times to talk about a flooding issue. And this summer, many of us were very upset when we saw all this work going into the Ames, Benton, Chase, Depew, Eaton streets above us in terms of curb and gutter fixing. And I know some of it had to do with the ADA, American Disabilities Act, but it's really frustrating when you see curbs and gutters being fixed above you that will help the water flow more efficiently downstream, and come down Chase Street and flood our properties. And so what I understand is that there is a approximately $850,000 issue up for vote tonight as to, or maybe not tonight, but there's a $850,000 money has been set aside to hopefully fix this issue. And what we all are here tonight is to say, help us, because we're really tired of being the sponge of all the streets that are above us on the Wheat Ridge, that ridge that comes down. So please, if you have any say over allocating funds to this important issue, we ask the residents of Chase Street really ask you. I don't know what it takes to get stuff done. You know, we've been in here several times and we see all this work going into the streets above us. Please, we're asking, we're pleading with you to help us fix this flooding issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. Mr. Andrews, would you mind speaking to Tim Peranto, too, if you want to go over it?
Which one?
Mr. Peranto, if you want.
Can you raise your hand, Mr. Bronto? Okay, right now?
Sure, go ahead. He can give you an update on that funding and the project.
Hello, my name is Jesse Hill, resident, or H-I-L-L, resident 2995 Chase Street in Wheat Ridge, also a candidate for District 1. I'd like to second the comments of the gentleman before me. The lowlands of the District 1 definitely need to be taken care of, but here today to discuss the topic of transferring of the Ye Olde Firehouse Parks property. It's a great convenient resource currently for the citizens of Wheat Ridge, especially District 1. It's
Mr. Hill, that's that's an agenda item that we'll have public hearing on.
I know. Unfortunately, I'm not sure I'll be able to make that meeting. Today is my chance. But in that opportunity, if council would take a chance maybe to look at possibly having that, rather than transferring it to a private company, if they might be able to either work out a management agreement with that organization or contract or lease or another business arrangement. If the city truly wants to divest itself of that parks property, this probably should be handled maybe by the Wheat Ridge Foundation or another organization, and they can set those terms of that transfer. It really is a cherished item that we have in that community there. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Christy Davis, D-A-V-I-S, 7975 West 39th Avenue. I'd like to formally announce my candidacy for City Council District 2. I'm hopeful you all have seen my signs, and I've also been knocking door to door talking to voters, so I'm hoping I've had the opportunity to talk to many of you. I'm a fifth-generation Wheat Ridge native. I was born at Lutheran Medical Center, and then I went through school, Wilmore Davis, Everett Junior High School, Wheat Ridge High School. I then continued my education in Whittier, California at Whittier College, where I earned a BS in biology and a BS in chemistry. I came back to Colorado, graduated from the University of Colorado, Denver, with 2 masters, a master's in business administration and a master's in science and health administration. And I'm very excited to run for City Council. My goal is to be the ears and the voice of my community. And this goal has even grown stronger as I've walked door to door talking to the members of the community, hearing their needs, their questions, their concerns. I think it's important to be that voice. I have no axes to grind, no hidden agendas. I plan to live in Wheat Ridge all my life, and I hope to make it a community that we're all proud of, that we all can grow in and be prosperous. One of the things I'd like to work on is the revitalization of the business district to help the current businesses and also create a welcoming environment for new business. So I ask you all for your support and your vote to join with me in building a government that honors our past while building for our future. Thank you.
First, I would like to thank all the hardworking citizens and City Council members for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Leah Dozeman, D-O-Z-E-M-A-N. I live at 3855 Harlan Street, and I am honored and very excited to announce my candidacy for City Clerk. I am a native of Wheat Ridge and have had the privilege of living in two homes, both located right here in this city, for all of my life. I have many fond memories of bike rides along the Greenbelt, neighborhood block parties, as well as being on the Wheat Ridge Girls softball team, and maintain those friends today. This community and its people have given so much to me, and it is time I give back. I am ecstatic about an opportunity to serve my community and a job that I am passionate about. American politics and government is so unique and absolutely fascinates me. My interest was sparked by participation on a high school debate team. Extensive research was necessary to conduct arguments both for and against hypothetical situations, in my case, the pros and cons of implementing a domestic policy. My interest was piqued when I qualified for and attended the 2008 Nationals in the event called Congress. I pursued my passion by seeking a political science degree at the Metropolitan State College of Denver, where I am also earning 2 minors, one in entrepreneurial studies and another in Spanish, and I have received a place on the President's Honor Roll for maintaining a 3.8 GPA and above all of my college career. From here, I plan to continue on to law school. My background with debate and as a political analyst have taught me to remain neutral and consider all the facts and perspectives involved, which I believe will aid me in the city clerk position. My recent work as an administrative assistant, reorganizing and converting employee database records, somewhat gives me an idea to what the clerk job may entail. However, I am thrilled to be seeking a position that directly involves me in the government, coincides with my schooling, and connects me with my neighbors. Thomas Jefferson once said that a healthy democracy depends on having ordinary citizens engaged with local politics. I am proud to be engaged and hope to empower everyone, especially my generation, to participate too, because your voice matters, and a real path to change is embracing the local government that is closest to you. What I lack in experience, I make up for with passion and perseverance. If you would like more information, you can see my website at lmdozeman.com or contact me personally at lmdozeman@gmail.com. Just a friendly reminder, this is a mail-only ballot, and it will be distributed by October 14th. To receive a ballot, citizens must go verify or update their information at govotecolorado.com. Please remember to vote for Leah Dozeman. I'm dedicated, determined, and dependable. Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Oh, good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Monica Duran, and I am a candidate for City Council District 1. And I just want to take a minute just to thank everyone out there who's allowed me to put signs in their yard, take the time to talk to me, and also let me kind of put flyers in their doors and just take the time just to kind of ask me questions. The election is about moving District 1 and our community forward with a committed work ethic, and I think together we can move Wheat Ridge in a proactive manner. I humbly ask for your vote, and if you have any questions for me, you can call me at 720-312-0583, and I look forward to working with you guys in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Britta Fisher, F-I-S-H-E-R, and I'm a resident of District 1. On behalf of Wheat Ridge 2020, I wanted to thank everyone who was involved in the Mid-Century and Modern Home Tour that we had this past weekend. By all accounts, a huge success. We had over 300 people attend the home tour, which was just a great problem to have, was that we ran out of tickets and had to print more. Just the kind of problem that we wanted to have. I think one of the interesting things about the event was we had hoped that we would really draw attention to Wheat Ridge as a community and to the neighborhoods and to the quality of housing stock that we have. And when you look at the list of ticket purchasers, about 90% of them were not from Wheat Ridge. So we really did that. We brought in people from outside the community. The people who came the furthest were from Florida. So that was pretty fun. I just also wanted to say thanks to all the volunteers who were part of that, and also to the homeowners who opened up their homes for 300 people to come through. If there are any other residents who have a mid-century or modern home and would like to be considered for the future tours, we would invite you to contact our office. And just finally, there was a lot of businesses that made it really possible to have such a successful event, so we want to acknowledge these Wheat Ridge businesses. Mod Mood and Retro Consignment, which hosted everything. Mile High Modern, First Bank, Blue Iron Photography, Ciro Web Development, Crest Kitchen and Bath, Vinyl Works, Dressel Martin Media Works, Swiss Flower and Gift Cottage, Posy Girl, Floral Boutique, and then to our District 2 counselors, Joyce J. and Wanda Sang, that also sponsored. So thank you all for that. We do have another upcoming event. We have our next Live Local. It's at Ceviche, which is October 20th from 6 to 9. We hope you'll come out and support another business and enjoy all the neighbors coming out as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else here to speak on any item not on the agenda tonight? Public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. It's my understanding that we like to move items 4 and 5 first as public hearings by unanimous consent. Does anybody have a problem with actually hearing number 5 first, then number 4? Since the majority of folks here tonight are here for number 5, so we'll hear 5 and then 4. So we're going to move on to public hearings. I'm going to open the public hearing, Resolution 30-2011, which is item 5. Councilmember Jay. Councilmember Sang.
Thank you. Resolution number 30-2010, a resolution approving a 3-lot minor subdivision plat with right-of-way dedication on property zone MUC located at 7340 West 44th Avenue, case number MS-11-02. The applicant, Weston Development Solutions, on behalf of Renewal Wheat Ridge, is requesting approval of a 3-lot minor subdivision plat with right-of-way dedication on property zone MUC. The property is located at the southeast corner of 44th Avenue and Wadsworth, with the current address is 7340 West 44th Avenue. The purpose of the request is to create 3 new lots along with new public streets to allow for mixed-use redevelopment of the site. Subdivision plats for 5 lots or less follow the minor subdivision process. Since this minor subdivision includes right-of-way dedication, City Council is the final authority for approval.
Thank you. This is a public hearing, so if you're here to speak tonight on item number 5, please stand and raise your right hand. I need to swear you in, so please stand if you're here to speak on number 5, staff and applicant.
I believe staff's just coming in.
Okay.
Sarah, you going to speak? There you go.
You swear to tell the truth of this matter? Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to the staff presentation for item 5.
Good evening. I'm Sarah Showalter, Planner 2 in Community Development Department. I'm doing the staff presentation for case MS-1102, which is a request for approval of a 3-lot minor subdivision with right-of-way dedication located on property zoned mixed-use commercial at 7340 West 44th Avenue. I would like to enter the packet and case file, as well as the contents of this presentation and the subdivision regulations from the zoning code into the record, and note that all public notification requirements have been met and there is jurisdiction to hear this case. This is an aerial photograph with the site outlined in red. For those who might have a difficult time seeing, it's about this boundary here. It's about 7.8 acres that is part of this subdivision application. Just to orient folks, we have West 44th Avenue to the north. Wadsworth Boulevard is over here with the First Bank property. and this is Upham Street as forming a border on the eastern edge. The property is owned by Renewal Wheat Ridge, which is the city's urban renewal authority. I should note that it looks a little different today than it does in this photograph, as it is now entirely vacant and the building has been torn down that you see here in the image. The Renewal Wheat Ridge purchased this property with the intent of redeveloping it in a denser mixed-use type of development that complies with the city's plans for this part of Wadsworth, which is envisioned to become a mixed-use town center within the city. This next slide is zoomed out a little bit more and shows the zoning on top of the aerial. The blue area that you see here is the mixed-use commercial or MUC zoning, which does encompass the entire subdivision area. As you can see to the north, we have C1 or Commercial 1 zoning and some RC and NC, which are other commercial zone districts. And then to the east and a bit to the south, we have an existing residential neighborhood that's zoned R2. And these just a couple of quick shots looking at the site taken a couple of months ago. This is at the southern edge of the subdivision area looking to the northeast, so Upham Street would be over here. You can see the vacant land that's there today. This is looking west from Upham Street with the First Bank property there to the west. And finally, this is an image of Upham Street as it borders the project site, which is over here in this image. We're looking south down Upham. And this graphic shows the proposed subdivision layout. Essentially, it would create 3 new lots as well as dedicate right-of-way in order to connect new streets that would serve the development that's envisioned for this area. I would like to note that this site was required by the zoning to go through a concept plan approval. Because it is less than 10 acres, that's a purely administrative process. So several months ago, a concept plan was submitted and reviewed by staff and put on referral to outside agencies. That concept plan sets the land use and circulation urban design framework for future development. It has been approved and it's on record with the county. And it does, this subdivision plat would comply with what is shown in that concept plan, which is essentially to create these 3 new lots, Lot 1, Lot 2, and Lot 3, as well as Vance Street, which would connect here, and then West 43rd Avenue connecting out to Upham. Just to orient people, this is approximately where there's an existing restaurant, the Panda King restaurant, and the First Bank property is over here. Lot 2 is currently under contract with Renewal Wheat Ridge by a private developer to be developed with a affordable senior housing facility. Right now there are no potential land end users for lots 1 and 3. They are anticipated to be developed with retail or commercial use. The items that are highlighted in color here are easements that are being created primarily through this plat. One is an access point here that would provide access off of the extension of Vance Street here, both to the existing restaurant that's here to the north, as well as to future users on Lot 3. And there's another access easement shown here in green, providing access to lots 1 and 2 off of the extension of Vance Street. The area that's shown in this blue-gray color here is a stormwater easement. The majority of the land that you see there will be a detention facility for stormwater. It will provide both water quality and detention for stormwater for the vast majority of this entire development area. The next image shows the same graphic there overlaid over the aerial, just to give you a little sense of how the proposed streets and new development lots would fit in with the existing context there. That's the restaurant and the First Bank property here. Part of this application is to waive a parkland dedication that's required for new residential development in the subdivision regulations. The subdivision regulations do have an option for a developer to request a waiver from these requirements when they can show that they're not needed, the parkland's not needed, and or there are private amenities being provided on site to offset the need for the parkland. In this case, partly why the request is being made, one is just that the vision is for a denser mixed-use environment where a large public dedication of parkland does not fit the urban design vision. There's also going to be a fair amount of open space provided primarily through the zoning, which does require minimum open space, as well as the concept plan, which does have a requirement that Lot 3, when it's developed, provide a 1.5 acre public space that will serve as a focal point for all 3 lots. That is clearly stated in the concept plan. And then the residential development proposed for Lot 2, which is what would trigger this requirement, is also providing many amenities on site that are specifically geared towards the community living there. That includes a community garden with garden plots for their residents in a landscaped area for passive recreation, a dog park, small dog park which would be open to residents, a large covered patio, as well as indoor recreation and public gathering spaces. I would like to note that the Parks and Recreation Commission recommended that there should be some amount of fee in lieu provided. If you're not providing parkland for the subdivision regulations, you can provide a fee in lieu, and they recommended $25,000 total that could be amortized over a 5-year period. The subdivision was put on referral to outside agencies, and all of them responded positively that they can serve. And Renewal Wheat Ridge and the private developer Weston Solutions that they've hired to assist in entitling and building the infrastructure for this subdivision area have been working with everyone you see on the list here to make sure all requirements are being met and utilities will be in place to serve future development. Planning Commission did review this subdivision request at a public hearing on August 4th and recommended approval. And staff recommends approval as well because all requirements of the subdivision regulations in the zoning ordinance have been met. Utility providers can serve the property, and the subdivision will create the lots that are needed as well as the streets to facilitate development of the site plan in compliance with the approved concept plan. And that concludes our presentation.
Thank you. Just wanted to reiterate, we're on item number 5. We've opened the public hearing. We've sworn in folks who wanted to speak on this agenda, item 5. We've had the staff report. Now, please step forward if you'd like to make any comments on this from the public. And please step forward to the podium and give us your last name. Say your last name for the record, and please just give us your city and or your address from the public. Is the applicant here too? Okay. Can move on. Seeing no comment from the public, we'll move on to council discussion and questions. Any questions from the council? Mr. Demont?
I have a couple of observations and possible questions. It's my understanding that Urban Renewal, that their purpose is to assemble land. One of the reasons they assemble the land from different owners is to raise the property values and to develop. For one, I'm confused why we're subdividing this land after we've went through so much to assemble this land. I do realize that we did lose some tenants on some of these properties, but urban renewal in the city has worked really hard to create an environment for developers. One of the developers, Wazi Partners, that we're talking about on Lot 2, building 88 units, they received $96 million in federal granted tax credits. Am I wrong on that? Because that's what was in the press release. Well, I'd ask the city manager if that's
Yeah, I'm
that's
sorry, I don't have the
correct.
press release in front of me. I know they're receiving actual cash value of just under $1 million for the project. I don't know what the value of the tax credit is. If it's $96 million in the press release, I guess that's what it is.
Well, we've talked about $96 million for 6 months.
I don't have the. Do you have the press release? I don't have the press release in front
I
of me.
don't have it with me, but I know that's the number we've talked about.
All I know is they're receiving just under $1 million in actual money to construct this building.
Well, I seem to have read differently in several occasions, but let me move on to my next point. I know that we say our subdivision regulations, and that's the city's subdivision regulations, I'm assuming, require dedication of a certain amount of acres per public parks for each new residential unit. The total is, in our packet here, it says with 88 housing units, it would require the dedication of 1.4 acres or a payment of a fee in lieu of the dedication that is equal to the market value of 1.4 acres. I think that if we leave it at 0, we're saying that the fair market value of this area is pretty low. Even the $25,000 that the Park Commission requested still leaves it at 41 cents a square foot. I did do some research today just on the internet looking at lots for sale, lots that had sold in Wheat Ridge. The average was somewhere between $250,000 and $253,000 per acre of vacant land in the city. I would say that 1.4 acres should be worth in the neighborhood of $350,000. And I just feel like if we're just going to pass this up and pass this requirement on to the next 2 lot owners, that we're going to have to be very I won't even use the word understanding. I just feel like we're giving this away. And I feel that we've really missed the point of raising the property values if we're not only giving away, not giving away land, but we're missing our own regulations that we've set for ourselves to make this land better and develop more quickly and better. I, for one, feel like there should be an amount on these, there should be a fee in lieu of the parkland dedication, and that we do that to basically follow our own regulations.
Mr. Goff or Mr. Ard, did you want to address any of the comments? Okay. Any other council questions or discussion before I close the public hearing? Ms. Berry.
It's my understanding that we've done a site plan for the entire area, so we've actually planned for the entire area. We have a concept plan in place, which looks at drainage and streets across the entire area and some shared public spaces. So that to me means that we've actually looked at the entire area and we've done a plan for the entire area. And it's not unusual in any development to do a master plan or a site plan and then to sell off lots individually. That's really not unusual at all. The other thing is there are some, as far as the parkland goes, the intent of asking for parkland is to offset the increased needs of that particular development for park and open space. And the way that I read this application, there is some of that already entailed within the development. There's going to be a community garden. There's going to be a small dog park. There's going to be some balconies and some amenities that the seniors would use in there. So I do think that there is some, they've taken care of some of those needs within that, and I'm not sure how large the community garden is going to be, but we've talked about there will be some public space of 0.15 acres, and I don't know if staff knows the size of the community garden and the dog park. If you could give us like the square footage or the acreage of that would be great.
The community garden is approximately 4,000 square feet, and the dog park is approximately 600 square feet.
Okay, so I mean it's less than that 1.4 acres, but there has been some, I think, some real thought into what the needs of the seniors are, and they've provided some amenities for them. So I don't have any problem with the waiver as requested.
Ms. J?
As I recall reading the packet, there's also a large patio area that is enclosed as part of those amenities. Let me see what else we had in here. In-house library is part of the amenities that are to be included in the facility, as well as library. I guess I said that. Balconies. I am comfortable with this. The other two parcels, they also have a requirement, the same requirement, as well as this lot that we're looking at. And I think some of those have already been met in a planned community, a small community park that's, as I recall, is in that plat. So I'm pretty comfortable with the meeting our park requirements, and I thought that it was a good comment by Ms. Berry about why we do that, why we offset with park land. I'm also comfortable with it because I feel as though the seniors, I will be voting yes for this, because I feel as though seniors in our community, this is an opportunity for them to stay in their community. Some seniors would like to sell their large homes, and this gives them a very attractive place to live. It's an opportunity, and with the national scene of the senior population expanding, we have to be aware of that and provide housing for our seniors that's attractive, as well as close to shopping and transportation. Because it is a subdivision, I understand we are not privy to the actual building. I don't know if the word is privy, but we do not have to approve whatever the building is. That becomes an administrative approval, which would be nice so that we could look at it. But that's, I guess, available through community development if one wanted to look at that. Is that correct? Okay. It'll also be, it's a rental property, but it'll be well maintained. This is not a single-family home that with a distant owner. It will be well maintained, which is a plus for our community. So I am very much in favor of this particular subdivision.
Mr. Reinhardt.
Thank you. I find this a fairly routine document for trying to put the land into appropriate ownership pattern, and I respect that the hopes for this parcel may have been different than this reflects, but what I'd really like is clarity from the on the process question associated with what this approval actually reflects. I mean, the platting portion seems fairly straightforward, and that there isn't really grounds to oppose it in a technical manner, given the overall planning scheme. What would the standard, leaving aside, what's the base standard for approving or disapproving the plat?
Article 4 of Chapter 26.
So if we conclude that it comports with Article 4 at face value, that would be the core interpretation we have to make. The other issues relate more to the site plan and the other planning approvals they get through a different process. This is strictly the geometry of the internal roadways in the plat, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and in that framework, notwithstanding what concerns I have of the history of the property and urban renewal, whatever subsidies they did or didn't receive from other agencies or from this city, where the acquisition price seems somewhat moot. The base approval we're making tonight is, are the roadways and the plats appropriate for the other approvals that are in place, and I can't find a substantive reason to oppose those.
I thank you, Ms. Langworthy.
I guess I just want to make point something out, because on the plan with Vance Street, it looks like there's going to be a future traffic signal at 44th and Vance. Is that correct? And I think that maybe some of the citizens are a little concerned about, the street at 43rd coming up onto Upham, which is a very small street. But I think if there's a traffic signal at 44th and Vance, it's going to kind of, people are more inclined to want to make a left onto 44th at a light than to try to get across a very busy street. So my biggest concern was whether or not we had that, and I think that really kind of helps move the traffic along and not onto the side streets that could cause some problems for people who live on Upham.
Do we have any other comments from council? Ms. Adams.
I guess I didn't follow your first question, Councilmember DeMott. Was that concerning the viability of this project as an urban renewal project? I didn't.
It wasn't really a question. It was just an observation that I just felt that, my understanding of urban renewal is to assemble land to develop as a whole, because basically what we're saying is there were several owners before and we couldn't get it done, so let's assemble this land as a whole and do this as one single development, and now we're separating it again. It's not really a question, it's just an observation. I just feel that it's, it's a little strange to me.
And Ms. Berry, would you maybe explain the subdivision plan again, that this is really not splitting the property up into different areas? We're just developing the areas based on plats. Or Mr. Reinhardt?
I mean, I have some sympathy for at least a discussion as to whether this was what the intention is, but the planning conception, the assemblage, if you will, in my understanding, was designed to allow for a plan that considered all of the property in one piece rather than the boundaries that existed at that particular time. So we've accomplished the broader plan, and this simply allows the pieces within that broader plan, which has been broadly approved by other process, to move forward along the line. So in theory, it all fits together. This is just dividing the parts of a new, bigger plan into their sections, is my understanding. Whether it accomplished the broader urban planning goals that we had at the time of that acquisition, or that isn't the question on the table tonight, that's all. So that's what I'm supporting the plot.
Ms. Berry?
I understand Councilmember DeMott's comments there. again, when we first looked at this is not the plan we all originally envisioned. But affordable housing is a need to the community. And so in that sense, I think, it's a good use. The market realities here are just difficult. They were difficult on this property before we purchased it at the price we did. They were difficult before the economy became very difficult. The property sat vacant for 30 years. What our initial dreams were and what the realities are two different things. We searched and searched to try to find someone who would serve as a master developer and develop the whole thing with a very all-at-once integrated plan, but we're not going to accomplish that. But we have done, I think, partially what the urban renewal plan intended us to do, is to assemble it all in one piece and then to be able to put in the improvements and to do the master plan on it that will allow it to be developed in separate lots, but it will all fit together, as Councilmember Reinhardt stated.
Thank you. And additionally, the benefit was this property was entirely zoned to a one zone district, where before it was several different types of zone districts. It was a hodgepodge of ownership and zoning, which made it difficult to develop in the years past, too. Now it's under one zone district. So, Mr. Stites?
Yeah, I've been sitting up here wiggling in my seat, barring all this. If this passes tonight, you realize that corner has looked like crap for 40 years, quite frankly. We finally, for the city of Wheat Ridge, have a chance to get that developed, to get it looking good, possibly get some revenue from it. And I'm just ecstatic. I really am. It's been 40 years in the making. We're finally at that point now, and I'm just as proud as can be for the city of Wheat Ridge if it passes. Thank you.
Do we have any other comments or questions before I close the public hearing? I'm going to close the public hearing. A motion's in order.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I will say I concur with my fellow council members. I move to approve resolution number 30-2010, a resolution approving a 3-lot minor subdivision plat with right-of-way dedication on property zone MUC located at 7340 West 44th Avenue, and West 44th Avenue, corresponding to case number MS 11-02 for Weston Solutions on behalf of Renewal Wheat Ridge.
Second.
The motion for approval was seconded by Councilmember Reinhardt. Discussion on the main motion. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 7-1 with Councilmember DeMott voting no.
Thank you. I'd like to apologize for my coughing attack. In 16 years, I've never had that happen, so it's the first time for everything. Thank you for coming tonight. Move on to item number 4, which is the public hearing on the 2012 proposed budget. Mr. Goff, I believe you're going to present, or Heather Geyer?
We have a joint presentation here this evening. If you give Ms. Geyer a minute to get the presentation up.
So we are item number 4 now, Mr. Snow. Mr. Snow, we're item 4 now.
Sorry?
We're on item number 4 now. We did 5, then 4. Just.
I'm with you.
We roll the dice in between items to decide what comes next. That's it.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. No, I mean,
The discussion might be interesting.
Thank you for the water, whoever brought that forward. Thank you, Heather.
Okay, ready, Ms. Geyer? All right. Thank you, Mayor. We are here tonight to hold a public hearing on the proposed 2012 budget. Public hearing is required in the city charter before adoption of the budget, and we've had additional public input meetings over the last several months. August 8th and August 22nd, we had 2 informal meetings to allow citizens to provide comment, and we did actually receive quite a bit of comment this year on the budget. And then we did meet with City Council on September 19th to go over to review the budget with City Council. And tonight is the official public hearing per city charter. The 2012 budget was developed focusing on City Council's strategic goals. And in those 4 goals right now are a financially sound city providing quality service, economically viable activity centers, choice of desirable neighborhoods, and more attractive Wheat Ridge. The 2012 budget has some specific expenditures to address those goals, and those include a core services project to look at what services the city should be providing in the near future. We are budgeting $15,000 for that initiative. An aging needs assessment. We are looking at what programs and services the community may need to address our aging population. We are budgeting $1,000 for that initial initiative. Compensation project to make sure we're paying our employees competitively and within the market in our surrounding areas and in a sustainable manner that the city can afford. We have $15,000 budgeted for that project. Our 38th Avenue corridor plan, we are right in the middle of a sub-area plan, a visioning exercise for 38th Avenue, and there have been some recommendations put in place for that, and if that plan does pass City Council approval in the next few weeks, we are budgeting $280,000 for the implementation of some of those initial recommendations. The City of Wheat Ridge is lucky to be on at the end of the Gold Line commuter rail station. We are budgeting some funds to look at planning and visioning for that light rail station at Ward in Wheat Ridge. Another priority of City Council is to look at a diverse housing plan to address the needs of future families. And as a few of you mentioned earlier, talking about the senior housing, there's going to be housing needs are changing as the economy changes and as our population ages. So we are looking at what the community needs to provide in the future. And also, we are budgeting some funds for the potential acquisition of some property in District 2 for at Martinston Elementary School for a neighborhood park. We currently have some other property on hold or purchased that it's been vacant and been sitting ready for development, but Martinston Elementary School was closed recently, and we feel that investigating using that property for a neighborhood park may be a great benefit for the city. So we have some funds budgeted for that. Just a very quick summary of the 2012 budget. We are presenting a balanced budget for the general fund, the operating fund of the city, without using the city's reserves. We are proposing to transfer to our equipment replacement funds $100,000 from the general fund. We've created this fund in the last several years to start putting money aside for those replacement of equipment, large dollar item equipment that may need to be replaced in the future. And we are proposing to transfer $2 million from general fund reserves to the capital improvement budget for capital projects in 2012. As I mentioned, we met with City Council on September 19th in a study session to review the budget. We did receive some consensus on a few items from City Council to amend the budget, and those include our Greenbelt Patrol Program. City Council gave us direction to increase our Greenbelt Patrol from 3.5 months to 4.5 months, and that will be a $3,800 increase to the proposed budget. We did receive direction from City Council to allocate $850,000 in our CIP budget for drainage work along 29th and Chase and the streets in that vicinity, and also to fund our the matching dollars amount, or the matching dollars required for a grant-funded Kipling pedestrian improvements project Council gave us direction to fund those out of the open space fund instead of the capital budget. So we did move $70,000 expenditure from our CIP budget to our open space budget. Council gave us direction not to fund the Regional Air Quality Control Program request. Council gave us direction to keep the funding for outside agency contributions at the level recommended by staff of $10,000. Council gave us consensus to keep the funding for our Wheat Ridge Business District at what was proposed, $40,000. And Council directed us, staff, to bring back funding options for Wheat Ridge 2020 without using the city's reserves. Those options were distributed to City Council earlier for you to make that decision. Wheat Ridge 2020 did make a budget request this year of $300,000. $106,000 is for the home investment program and the building up business loan programs. $100,000 to support the 38th Avenue plan implementation, and $94,000 for community engagement and investments. Staff does recommend that City Council funds at least the $100,000 budget request for the 38th Avenue plan implementation. With that, I'll turn it over to Heather to give more details on the proposed budget.
The proposed 2012 budget in front of you consists of approximately $41 million in expenditures, which includes the general fund, the CIP, and the 6 special revenue funds. This is a 23% increase compared to the 2011 adjusted budget. General fund expenditures total approximately $26 million, and as our city manager mentioned, it's a balanced budget, so the $26 million in expenditures currently match the projection of $26 million in revenues. This is a 0.8% increase compared to the 2011 adjusted budget, and that leaves a approximately $6 million ending fund balance, which is a 24% decrease compared to the 2011 estimated budget. The breakdown of general fund expenditures consists of the following chart. Parks and Recreation accounts for about 16% of expenditures. Public Works, about the same. Police accounts for 33% of expenditures. Community Development consists of 3%. Court, 3%. Administrative Services, which again is the internal support services for the city, is 13%. And then General Government, which consists of City Attorney, City Clerk, the City Council's budget, and the City Manager's budget, accounts for 5% of expenditures. General fund revenues, as mentioned, are projected at approximately $26 million, with a projected beginning fund balance of $8 million. So total available funds are being projected at approximately $35 million. This is a 3% increase compared to the 2011 projected revenues, which does not include fund balance. And again, the ending fund balance is projected at 23%, or $6 million. General fund revenues, sales tax accounts for 59% of our total revenue. Property tax accounts for 3%. Fines account for 3%. Services, 4%. Intergovernmental, 8%. Licensing, 4%. Other taxes, 8%. And use taxes, 9%. So sales tax does account for the majority of our revenue sources at this point in time. Oops. Let me back up. The proposed CIP budget expenditures consist of approximately $9 million, and that does include the $850,000 major drainage work that Council directed staff to include in the budget at the budget retreat. This is a 225% increase compared to the 2011 estimated budget. The CIP expenditures consist of $5.5 million in grant funding for the 32nd and Youngfield interchange improvements, $2 million in preventative street maintenance, $700,000 for the city's match for the Arvada Channel drainage improvements, $100,000 for a gateway signage program, the $850,000 in major drainage work for 29th and Chase, $273,000 for design work and right-of-way acquisition for the Kipling Street pedestrian improvements. And this amount was previously noted in the CIP as $343,000. And again, we took per council direction $70,000 and moved that to the open space fund. $250,000 for the implementation of 38th Avenue plan recommendations, leaving us with $272 million in deferred or suspended capital project needs, which are not included in the CIP budget. The Recreation Center operations expenditures are at approximately $2 million. This is a 9% decrease compared to the 2011 adjusted budget. For open space expenditures, we have approximately $1 million, which funds maintenance development projects, includes funding of approximately 5 parks employees. This is a 38% decrease compared to the 2011 adjusted budget. Projects in the open space budget include the matching grant funds for the Kipling pedestrian improvements, park acquisition, which our city manager mentioned just earlier, in the amount of $200,000 for the Martinson neighborhood park, District 2 park development at $120,000, a Public Works Parks Operations facility in the amount of $100,000, and that's a funding amount being set aside for that facility. Trail replacement and a repair in the amount of $50,000, open space signage, sign fabrication in the amount of $50,000, and an off-leash dog park funding in the amount of $22,000, which I believe is for a shade structure. Is that correct, Joyce? In the Conservation Trust Fund, expenditures are $530,000. This is 95% increase compared to the 2011 adjusted budget. Conservation Trust Fund projects consist of a District 2 park site development in the amount of $150,000, facility improvements in the amount of $150,000, maintenance projects for the Recreation Center consisting of $130,000, and then a playground for Paramount Park in the amount of $100,000. Moving on to our Crime Prevention Fund, expenditures total $356,000. This is a 1.2% decrease compared to the 2011 budget. Moving on to other special funds, in our Equipment Replacement Fund, the beginning balance is projected at $307,000, revenues of $100,000, which is the $100,000 transfer that our city manager mentioned earlier. 0 expenses, leaving an ending fund balance of $409,000. The Police Investigation Fund is projected to have a beginning fund balance of approximately $53,000, $30,000 in expenses, $100 in revenue, and an ending funding balance of $23,000. The Municipal Court Fund beginning balance is projected at $27,000, revenues consisting of $31,000, and expenses of $57,000, with an ending fund balance of $1,873,000. The Public Art Fund, which is a new fund being added to the budget this year per council adoption, has a beginning fund balance projected at $5,170, anticipated revenue next year of $5,170, with an ending projected fund balance of $10,340. The staffing history by fund is on the chart in front of you. For the proposed 2012 budget, we have an FTE count of 226.015 positions. This is a 0.26 position increase from the figure that staff shared with you at the budget retreat last week. And the 0.26% increase consists of the adjustment that Kirsten Armstrong, our court administrator, talked about in regards to the court marshal and increasing their time due to the increased safety measures that we need to take with our court. Here's the breakdown by department. And this chart does reflect the one FTE that was mentioned at the budget retreat in the police department. That's a grant-funded position that wasn't reflected in the chart in proposed budget. In terms of compensation, the City Council directed staff in July of this year to include the following in the proposed 2012 budget. % increases for civilian staff, step adjustments for sworn staff, for staff to conduct a mid-year market study in 2012, and to implement a pay-for-performance plan in 2013. The 2011 mid-year market analysis consisted of the following information. Civilian compensation is about 4.36 below the council-approved 55th percentile of the market. Sworn compensation is about 5.16 below the council-approved 70th percentile of the market. And according to Mountain States Employers Council, a recent survey that they just put out within the last month, the survey information indicates that the average increase for government employees in the Denver-Boulder market in 2012 will be approximately 2.7% of the 13 organizations that responded in regards to how they're budgeting for salary increases. As our city manager has discussed in the past, our long-term revenue picture consists of the following. Our CIP is currently funded with general fund undesignated reserves. The general fund policy adopted in 2011 sets the minimum reserve level at 17%, and the projected reserve level included in the proposed 2012 budget is at 23%. In order to maintain this reserve level, undesignated reserves will not be available for the CIP in 2013. Let me back up. The council adoption of the proposed 2012 budget is set for October 10th, at which time we'll also ask that you certify the mill levy.
Heather, is that your...
That's staff's presentation.
It is. That's staff's presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing, so please step forward if you're here to speak on the budget. As mentioned earlier, the actual budget adoption will be October 10th. So please step forward if you have any comments on the proposed budget. But this is a public hearing only. There's no formal action on the budget until October 10th. And please spell your last name for the record.
Hi, Janice Hoppe, Hoppe, 7018 West 38th Avenue. I'm the owner of Compass Construction, a board member of Wheat Ridge 2020, and a board member on the Wheat Ridge Business District. Hello, council members, and Mr. Mayor, thank you for this time. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you about the upcoming budget decisions. I'm here to speak in support of funding Wheat Ridge 2020 for the 2012 budget, specifically the $106,000 requested for the home improvement loan and for the Building Up Business Loan Program, and also for the $100,000 requested to support the implementation of the 38th Avenue Plan. As a past recipient of the BUBBA loan, I would encourage you to continue to support this program. The Building Up Business Loan was an important part of our decision to move our business to Wheat Ridge. Not only did the loan help us transform the ugliest building on the block, it helped us also to grow our business. We, in return, then changed our purchasing habits. Rather than use the businesses near our home in Denver, we made the decision to support Wheat Ridge wherever we could. We changed our dry cleaners. We changed where we get our business vehicles and our personal vehicles serviced. We changed where we take our recreational vehicles and our dirt bikes to be serviced. We now rent equipment from our neighbors, A1 Equipment Rental. We changed where we get our van signage. The guys now go down the block down the street to the barber shop, and I stop and shop at the Safeway in Wheat Ridge instead of the one by my home. We shop Wheat Ridge first whenever we can. This is an impact on the local economy, and it's directly due to us receiving the bubble loan. I consider this to be a successful tool of economic development. I did quickly look at our neighboring cities to see what they have, and they all have similar programs, and I would hate for somebody to scratch Wheat Ridge off of their list because we wouldn't have that program anymore. I would also like to speak in support of the funding of the $100,000 to support the implementation of the 38th Avenue Plan. In June, the Board of Directors of Wheat Ridge 2020 had the pleasure of having George Velok, the director of the Alameda Gateway Association, come and speak with us. George discussed the process of how the Alameda Gateway Association developed and how he became to be the director. He then went into detail about the teamwork between the city and the Alameda Gateway Association and how it was an imperative part of gaining this community support for the proposed changes of the Alameda Parkway area. When you drive down Alameda between Kipling and Sheridan, the product of their teamwork is clearly evident. I'm excited for the progress of the 38th Avenue Plan, and I can't wait to walk down 38th Avenue and look at the fruits of everybody's hard work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dempsey Andrews again, 2836 Chase. Last name is spelled Andrews. Would like to speak on behalf of the capital improvement project, $850,000 set aside for the storm and drainage program at 29th and Chase. Just want to mention that a lot of homeowners have spent down on Chase have spent a lot of money doing our own flood mitigation work, and it'll be really nice, like this summer when it was just raining buckets and it was lightning all around, and we had to go out in our yard to make sure that the drains were open and that they were flowing between our houses, so that it'd be nice when a storm like that hits that we don't have to go outside. So please, would really appreciate if that is included in the budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lloyd Levy. That's spelled L-E-V-Y. I'm at 3275 Upham Street. I'm a member of Wheat Ridge 2020, but I'm not a board member. I volunteer for them, but I'm still kind of watching from the outside. So I thought I'd share my personal views for what it's worth. I've been attending 2020's Live Local events over the past months, and I really enjoy them. You get a sense of pride and community spirit at all of them. And the businesses seem to get slammed. I went on 2020's Modern Home Tour this weekend with friends. They are in Denver now, and they want to move to Wheat Ridge. And they're looking for a house like that they can do that sort of thing to. And they're telling me that the word is definitely out on Wheat Ridge because of what's going on with events like the house tour, with stores like Mod Mood, the new Energy on 38th that Compass just spoke to, and so on. The list is quite long at this point. There are a lot of great events in this community. The Carnation Festival, the Farmers 5,000 Run, Dragonflies Blues and Barbecue, and 2020's events are part of that mix. And I've been to a lot of them, and I see people crossing over from one to the other, the same people getting involved in all of these events. There's the bricks and mortar side of 2022. In my neighborhood, they did a stabilization remodel around the corner. They did a great job. It hasn't sold, I don't think yet, but I think it looks great, a lot better, and it makes everybody look a lot better in the whole neighborhood. So all of the buzz about Wheat Ridge is pretty exciting, if you ask me, and I think that 2020 has been a big factor in that. I hope you continue to support all of their programs because they all make a difference. Thanks.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Kim Calomino, Calomino. I live at 4070 Dover Street. I am a founding member of Wheat Ridge 2020 and a current board member. And certainly as council faces the tough challenge of developing, debating, and adopting a budget, we all understand the challenges that you are facing. Every municipality, every household, every business is facing similar challenges. But I will tell you that whether you're a municipality or a business or a household, one of those challenges is always figuring out how to invest in your future. Wheat Ridge has taken considerable steps in the past several years toward realizing the vision outlined in Envision Wheat Ridge. At each of those steps, Wheat Ridge 2020 has served as an invaluable partner to the city, assisting in further refining visions where needed, educating the citizenry, which is always necessary, and carrying out multiple initiatives to improve the city's image and support revitalization, standing as a partner to council in your many initiatives. We've developed momentum and energy and excitement in the community, and we're proud of that. We're proud to work with you side by side, and we want very much to continue that partnership. No vision for growth, economic and community development, revitalization, and a vibrant and sustainable city can be realized without investment in the future. If the budget challenges are great now, consider how those challenges will continue to grow if we fail to invest now in our city's future. In particular, we want to encourage full investment in the 38th Avenue Corridor Plan, the city's priority redevelopment area, and a keystone in the larger vision for the city and its future. Carrying out this plan will require sustained, focused, and committed work. As it has in so many aspects of forward movement in the city, Wheat Ridge 2020 has served as a vital partner in the 38th Avenue Plan thus far. To choose not to invest in Wheat Ridge 2020 so that we might continue to serve as a partner in that activity is to choose, in at least my opinion, to not invest in the future. The 38th Avenue Plan must be funded and its implementation must be carried out, or we will effectively remain without a vision for growth, certainly without action for growth, and ultimately without growth. How then will the city address its future financial needs? How will we retain and attract businesses and the development necessary to grow the city's revenue base? There is only so much a city government can do by itself. Successfully growing and revitalizing a city is the work of public-private partnerships, with the private side moving quickly and effectively in lockstep with the city to carry out work that sometimes the government itself cannot. Wheat Ridge 2020 is that private side, the community side of the partnership. We stand ready to continue deploying our talents and our members to move the city towards a sustainable future. Please support all of our budget requests to support the future of Wheat Ridge 2020 through our many initiatives and programs as a vital partner in the 38th Avenue Plan and in the full vision of Wheat Ridge's future. Together, these speak directly to the 4 key strategic prioritized goals you have established for the next 5 years. We want to be your partner in that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Genevieve Wooden, Wooden, and I live at 41st and Dudley Streets. I have lived in Wheat Ridge for 17 years, and I am a board member of Wheat Ridge 2020, and I would like to speak tonight regarding the Wheat Ridge 2020 budget request. As a resident, I would like to say I am encouraged by the developments over the years to help improve and grow the city of Wheat Ridge. However, as a resident, I am also extremely discouraged at how long these improvements take. Wheat Ridge 2020 has helped the city with the residential loan programs to help improve our neighborhoods. These programs help the city to grow and become a place others will want to live and to come and buy homes. The business loan program has helped several small owners to improve their storefronts and signs and to draw more buyers to their businesses. These programs are an important part of bringing small business to our city. 2020 is also working to implement the 38th Avenue project. As I drive to our neighboring cities like Golden, Arvada, Denver Highlands, and Lakewood, it is sometimes clear that Wheat Ridge is not as progressive as some of the other cities in creating a place where people want to shop, eat, and spend time. And that brings tax dollars to our city also. Bringing people to experience Wheat Ridge is important to create business and more tax dollars for our community. I would very much like to see this project move forward to help our city grow and not stay stagnant. This weekend we had a wonderful turnout for our home tour. Some of the comments I heard from people were, "Thank you so much for doing this. We never knew these neighborhoods were here. This is a great idea. Have you been doing it every year?" And we haven't. This was the first time. And Wheat Ridge needs to do more of these events, and I couldn't agree more. Wheat Ridge needs to do more events and projects to help our city to continue, improve, and grow, and 2020 has been a part of that. The homeowners, the volunteers, and the visitors at the home tour gave overwhelmingly positive feedback on this event. This event and other Wheat Ridge 2020 projects would never have happened without the Wheat Ridge 2020 organization and the numerous volunteers on the boards and committees who make these events and projects happen. Please continue funding Wheat Ridge 2020 so that our city can move forward and not just talk about projects, but make them happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else to speak under public comment on the budget before we move on? Council discussion? Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute recess, and we'll come back for item number 1. Reconvene the meeting, and we'll move on to ordinances on first reading. Item 1, Council Bill 29-2011. Councilmember Reinhardt.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Council Bill number 29, 2011, an ordinance amending the chapters 5 and 26 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws concerning general code revisions and clarification related to the building redevelopment improvements and required submissions and permits for the same. An existing ordinance requires construction of public improvements adjacent to properties where new buildings are being constructed and where significant additions are being added to existing buildings. Construction of public improvements is also required on new and adjacent existing streets when a property is subdivided. The proposed ordinance reduces those requirements in many cases. Existing ordinance also require the grading permits for more than 50 cubic yard dirt when excavated or imported. The proposed ordinance would greatly reduce requiring the grading permits. Chapter 6 is not Chapter 6 is not currently relative to the city's adopted survey and GIS standards. Is a motion in order?
Motion's in order.
Mr. Mayor,
Move to approve Council Bill number 29.
I'm sorry to interrupt. While you were getting ready for this ordinance, I found two very small items that need to be
Is there an amendment
fixed.
to the amendment?
Can I add to your amendment, or can I suggest an addition to your amendment?
Motion, you mean? There's no amendment.
I'm sorry, an addition to your motion. Sorry. I apologize, Council.
So it would be a move to approve Council Bill with a certain date with the following amendment?
Following amendment, that's
Thank
right.
you. All right,
Right.
well, when do you want to read the following amendment?
I can read them when you're finished with your motion.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to move to approve Council Bill number 2011 with amendments pending from the City Attorney, an ordinance amending Chapter 5 and 26 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws concerning general code revisions and a clarification relating to buildings, development, and improvements and required submissions and permits for the same on first reading and order it published on public hearing for October 10th, 2011, and that it take effect 15 days thereafter final publication. And the amendments are?
The amendments are to, on page 3, section 545G, fourth to the last line, delete or show as struck through the words at a later date. And on the same page in section 545H, third line, delete the word escrowing as it appears before the word payment.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval of Council Bill 29-2011 with two amendments read in by the City Attorney. It was seconded by Councilmember Langworthy. Any discussion on the main motion? Please poll the council.
I didn't put the microphone on. The motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. Item number 2, Council Bill 30-2011. Councilmember Berry.
Yes, thank you. Council Bill 30, 2011, an ordinance approving the transfer of ownership of the Ye Old Firehouse located at 3232 Depew Street, Wheat Ridge, Colorado, to the Seniors Resource Center at 3227 Chase Street. The Seniors Resource Center and the city met in June to discuss the possibility of transferring ownership of the Ye Old Firehouse from the city to the Seniors Resource Center. The center is requesting that the firehouse ownership be transferred free of charge. The firehouse located at 3232 Depew Street was purchased by the city from Jeffco School District in 1980. The general fund dollars in the amount of $16,000 were used to purchase it. The building consists of one room and two restrooms and is 900 square feet in size. The total lot is 2,800 square feet. Since the purchase in 1980, the Parks and Rec Department has scheduled and maintained the building. Over the course of time, the building has been used for a variety of programs, as well as serving as rental space to the public for meetings. Currently, the building is used mainly for outside group rentals, community meetings, and various programs. The staff recommends approval of Council Bill 3021 for the following reasons. The city no longer uses the building for any programming sponsored by the city. Cost to maintain and schedule the building exceed revenues. Reduced labor of facility maintenance staff, parts maintenance staff, and the facility rental coordinator, and costs of operation and maintenance will be incurred by the agency that uses the building for the majority of the site. Is the motion in order?
Motion's in order.
I move to approve Council Bill 3021, approving the transfer of ownership of Yale Firehouse at 3232 Depew Street, Wheat Ridge, Colorado, to the Seniors Resource Center, 3227 Chase Street, Wheat Ridge, Colorado, on first reading, and that it take effect 15 days after final publication.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval on first reading, second by Councilman Reinhardt. Please poll the council.
And the motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. Item 3 is Council Bill 28-2011. Councilmember Berry.
Let my iPad catch up with.
Want my hard copy?
I know, isn't that awful? One more page. It's on the internet and it's going slow. Okay.
I got a hard copy.
Okay, I give up. I'll read from the hard copy.
Yes. One for the hard
Oh,
copy.
here comes the page. Council Bill 28, 2011, an ordinance amending the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws, Chapter 18, renumbering Article 2 as Article 1, and enacting a new Article 2 concerning funding for public art. Mr. Dahl must have written that title.
Paying by the word.
Oh, that hurts. Yes, it's really lucid. I think it's great.
Amending Chapter 18 of the Code of Laws to provide for all the city's public art regulations in one location and providing for public and private funding of public art. Currently, the city is depositing the public art fund 1% of the total amount received from private developments for plan review, building permit fees, use tax, and development review fees charged and connected with all private site development, having an anticipated construction cost of $100,000 or greater. If this proposed ordinance is adopted, the city will deposit 1% of budget of city and state capital construction projects in Wheat Ridge in excess of $50,000 or more into the public art fund. Is there motion in order?
Motion's in order.
And that page moved quickly. I move to approve Council Bill 20, 2011, an ordinance amending the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws, Chapter 18, renumbering Article 2 as Article 1, and enacting a new Article 2 concerning funding for public art on first reading, order it published, public hearing set for Monday, October 10, 2011 at 7 p.m. in City Council chambers, and that it take effect 15 days after final publication.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval, second by Councilmember Jay. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. Let's see, what item should we do next? No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Item 6, Councilmember DeMott.
Thank you. Motion to approve payment to ESRI Incorporated in the amount of $35,750 for the annual license renewal for the Graphical Information Systems. The Environmental Systems Research Institute Incorporated, ESRI, is the sole provider of licensing and support of the city's existing Graphical Information System, the GIS. Although the company requires a 3-year license agreement to receive favorable pricing, the agreement does not include a termination for lack of funds clause as outlined in Article 5.2. The annual cost of the licensing and support is $35,750, which was approved in the 2011 IT budget. Is a motion in order?
Motion's in order.
I move to approve payment to ESRI Incorporated in the amount of $35,750 for the annual renewal of the Graphical Information System.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval of item number 6, seconded by Councilmember Stites. Discussion on the main motion. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. Item 7 is Resolution 31-2011. Councilmember Reinhardt.
Resolution 31-2011 is a resolution amending the fiscal year 2011 general fund budget to reflect the approval of a supplemental budget appropriation of $1,000 for purchase and installation of a bus stop bench on the south side of 32nd Avenue in Lamar. The city code does not allow advertising bus benches to be placed in residential zone property, and there is a location for a bus stop bench at the intersection of 32nd and Lamar, which in the past had a bench in it. And in absence of our current program, a program in place, I'd like to ask the rest of the council to approve the placing of a bench there. And in addition, I think it'd be reasonable to have a discussion and a study session about a policy vis-a-vis benches and locations. But this one had a bench. There's no bench now, and I'm advocating that we replace the bench that was there. Is a motion in order?
Motion's in order.
I move to approve Resolution 31, 2011, a resolution approving a supplemental budget appropriation of $1,000 for the purchase and installation of a bus stop bench in the southwest corner of 32nd Avenue and Lamar Street.
Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Jay. Motion for approval of item number 7. Second by Councilmember Jay. Mr. Stites?
Yeah, I just was going to tell you that I have 2 old Adirondack chairs that I would donate to the bus stop.
Thank you. Ms. Adams?
Thank you. Tim, I remember when we put this in, and I do appreciate Mr. Reinhardt's, Councilmember Reinhardt's request for a study session on this. How many bus benches, help me remember, that we have to eliminate when we changed the location due to the study that was done? And I am in favor of certainly this one. I just was curious.
I don't have the exact number. I could get that for you. They were generally the bus stop, the benches that were on 32nd and on 38th, because it was those 2 residential areas. We had several benches on the west side of town on 32nd, and there were 2 or 3 on 38th, west of Kipling as well. And then there were 3 or 4, I believe, here in 32nd on the east side of Wadsworth.
That were eliminated, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and I have had some concerns over that and questions also. So the study session, I think, will be in order. But I will support this certainly.
Any other questions or comments? We have a motion for approval. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 8-0.
Thank you. Item 8, Councilmember DeMott.
Thank you. Motion to approve the annual police radio system contract payment to the West Metro Fire Protection District in the amount of $73,181 for police radio system services. In 2005, the City of Wheat Ridge entered into an IGA with the West Metro Fire Protection District for annual contracted radio services. These services include technical support, system maintenance, equipment repair, a lease agreement for the Mount Morrison antenna site, and associated software and hardware costs. These services have provided significant improvement to the department's radio infrastructure and improved public safety in our community. Is motion in order?
Motion's in order.
I move to approve the annual police radio contract payment to the West Metro Fire Protection District in the amount of $73,181 from account number 01-204-700-704 for police radio system services.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval of item number 8, seconded by Councilmember Stites. Discussion? Please poll the council.
Motion carries 8-0.
Item 9 is Resolution 33-2011. Councilmember Langworthy.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution number 33-2011, a resolution approving the First Amendment to an intergovernmental agreement dated May 25, 2011 between Jefferson County and the City of Wheat Ridge, Colorado concerning community development block grant programs. The City and Jefferson County previously entered into an intergovernmental agreement under which the city was included as a part of the urban county for the county's entitlement to community development block grant funds. The intergovernmental agreement does not explicitly address emergency shelter grant program funds. The proposed First Amendment to the IGA provides that the city may receive a formula allocation under the emergency shelter grant program only through participation in the county. However, the city and the county may each independently seek emergency shelter grant program funds if the state so allows. Is the motion in order?
Motion's in order.
I move to approve Resolution number 33-2011, a resolution approving the First Amendment to an intergovernmental agreement dated May 25, 2011
between Jefferson County and the City of Wheat Ridge, Colorado concerning community development block grant programs.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion for approval of item number 9. It was seconded by Councilmember Stites. Discussion on the main motion. Please poll the council.
Motion carries 8-0.
Well, happily for my lungs and my throat, that concludes our agenda for this evening. Can we move on to city managers' matters?
I have nothing this evening.
City attorneys' matters?
Nothing tonight, thanks.
City clerks' matters?
Just a quick reminder to citizens, Thursday evening, 7 p.m. here in council chambers, you'll see the Wheat Ridge Election Forum. You'll get an opportunity to see all the candidates for council districts and the city clerk and treasurer races. You'll get to hear them answer questions which have been submitted by citizens. And that'll be televised live. You can watch it here live if you like, or you can watch on television channel 8. And it'll also be rebroadcast repeatedly up till Election Day. And then a reminder as well, there's still a lot of questions about the mail ballots. Remember that if you are registered but did not vote last year, that leaves your registration as inactive and you will not automatically receive a ballot. To reactivate that, you'll want to contact either our office here or the county clerk's office. Motor vehicles, you may also reactivate those there, and you'll be sure to receive your ballot. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Jay?
Just a real quick, I know we're probably tired of the home show, but it was such a wonderful success. I got to be partake in that, and the amount of people that came through and it was just really thrilling to see the crowds. I mean, the houses were filled constantly and just so well received, as well as a great party afterward at Mahmoud.
Thank you. Councilmember Dumont?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Councilmember Sang? Councilmember Adams?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I, as Mike Stites, am just thrilled about having a development on a corner that we needed a development on for a long, long time. So I thank all the parties involved that were able to get that going. I think, if I remember correctly, we were introduced to Weston and Associates at a function downtown that Denise Waddell of Wheat Ridge 2020 celebrated with us and brought developers in with the board members of Wheat Ridge 2020. And I want to thank Weston and Associates for all their hard work. We had some bumps in the road with having that development follow through. If it wasn't been for Wheat Ridge 2020 and Weston and Associates for coming to the forefront, we would not be having anything on that corner. Thank you.
Councilmember Reinhardt?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Councilmember Berry?
Yes, I have received quite a few calls, 3 to be exact, in a very short period of time from different older citizens and some very elderly citizens who are trying to keep active and are having a difficult time because of bicycles. The stories that I've heard are kind of pretty frightening. One was in Crown Hill Park, which I guess is being used as a velodrome in some regards, and a bicyclist knocking the cane out of an 85-year-old citizen and then confronting that citizen when he complained about almost being knocked over. I know that the enforcement in Crown Hill is with Jefferson County, but I'm hoping that maybe we can send a letter or we could do something in contacting either Jefferson County Sheriff's Department or OSAC about enforcement in Crown Hill Park. Because there are very few places where folks with walkers or folks who have some challenges can walk, and Crown Hill is one of them because it's a paved path and it's very level. I also received some very similar complaints about bicyclists in the Greenbelt and in Prospect Park, and that we have separated trails in those areas, but that bicyclists are not following the requirements for those. And so you have on some of the dirt trails where people are walking. You have bicyclists almost running over citizens. And one call I received also was about a conflict with the horse, and the bicyclist basically came across the horse, and the horse reared up, and the rider almost was knocked off. So in the budget we have increased patrols in the Greenbelt, but I'm hoping we could look into doing some increased patrols on bicyclists. I agree. I mean, 95% of our regulations are 5% of the people, and there are some great bicyclists out there, but there are also some who are very dangerous, and I'm hoping that we could do something to keep our seniors well and active in the community and safe. And the other thing is I don't know if people realize how much work it took to putting together the Mid-Century Home Tour. It was done through the Wheat Ridge Planning Committee, and I attended enough of those meetings to know the substantial amount of work it took to put that together. And it was done mainly by citizens, but there was quite a bit of staff support too from Wheat Ridge 2020, and the logistics of it were amazing. And the fact that they were able to get it out, get it advertised, and get as much people participating for a first time was pretty amazing. And I was on the sidelines for most of that, but it was just it took quite a bit of time to do that, and I really appreciate all the time that citizens and the staff of Wheat Ridge 2020 put into that, as well as city staff attend those planning committee meetings. Sarah does, and puts in a lot of good input, so it was a great partnership. I wasn't here at the last meeting, and maybe Councilmember Joyce mentioned it, but we had our first City of Wheat Ridge e-waste or electronic waste recycling with Go Green recycling, and it was pretty amazing turnout. And that again was a grassroots citizens effort to do recycling, and there was some staff support in coming out and helping discuss the issue. And it was the advertising fund from it was funded by a citizen, a member of our Parks and Recreation Committee, but it was a great effort, and it was really successful for the first time out, and there were quite a few community members there, and it was just a great event. So I want to thank everyone who worked on that.
Thanks. Councilmember Langworthy?
Thank you. I guess I just want to remind people again that October 5th is the International Walk and Bike to School Day, so there's going to be a lot more kids on sidewalks. And I know last year we had some problems with people on bicycles who don't necessarily follow the same rules as cars do, and when they approach an intersection, they're not very careful about who might be in that intersection. And so when you have younger kids who are, out, on their bikes, not as something that they necessarily do all the time, it would be good if people as a whole can just watch for them. It's one day a year, and let this be a good experience for children, and maybe they might do more of it.
Mr. Stites?
Yeah, I am with Mrs. Adams that I'm absolutely ecstatic that we're getting something done on 44th and Wadsworth. You know, that big cement pad that sat out there all those years was a Spartan's department store that burned down, and I was down there when I was a little kid and watched it burn. So I know it's sat there vacant for at least 40 years plus that whole area. So we're finally, one, going to clean up an eyesore, and two, possibly get some revenue off some property in this city, which I think is fantastic. But after 40 years, man, I think we should raise all the flags tomorrow and wave them, because this is quite an accomplishment. As always, this is an excellent time to relocate your business and or home to Wheat Ridge. If you need any help, check with us or staff. Please try to do one positive thing for either your family, people on your block, your community, your church. And as always, please try to find it and buy it in Wheat Ridge. Thank you.
Thank you. I also wanted to congratulate everybody involved in the 44th and Watts project. It's been one of my bucket lists for quite a while, and I'm glad to see that we finally made progress on the rezoning and the assemblage of the property, and we have a nice development going there. You know, it started off with other items, a county building, possibly a library, but I think in the end it's going to work out the way it's supposed to work out, based on the economy and on the economics of the situation. So I'm pleased to see that moving forward. And I also wanted to piggyback on what Councilmember Berry has mentioned. You know, not only are we having a problem with the bicycles in those areas, but I get a lot of calls about bicyclists on 32nd Avenue. There's no bike lane on 32nd Avenue, especially between Sheridan and Kipling. And the city spent a lot of money back in the 90s for that bike path along Crown Hill. And it goes all the way from, basically, you can catch it at Wadsworth all the way to Kipling. And it's right along the street, and nobody seems to want to use that bike path. And I've asked a few bikers why they don't want to use it, and they say they don't like to cross over from the north side of 32nd to the south side to use that path, and then cross back over again to go back on Kipling. So we have this logistics problem where everybody's digging in, and someone is definitely going to get run over or hit on 32nd Avenue with the bikes because, like it was said, 95% of the bicyclists are decent and they're trying to follow the rules. And then there's that 5 or 10% that they just basically want to take over the road, and cars are not going to move for them. And it's going to happen eventually. So I don't know how we can encourage bicyclists to use the bike path that goes from Wadsworth all the way through the Crown Hill to Kipling. It's safe and it's accessible, except for the fact that bicyclists don't want to cross over and go through the intersection diagonally. So. Something to think about. I don't know how we could address that with police department or, you know, public education or the biking clubs. But.
Yeah, we'll talk about it with staff and see if there's any ideas. We'll get with Recycler too and see if they have some suggestions.
So I want to thank Councilmember Adams for the cough drops. Thanks, Heather, for the water, and we're adjourned.
Wheat Ridge Channel 8, keeping you informed on events in your community.